Library Out Loud updates you all about the fun and interesting things going on in the Spokane County Library District. Sponsored by STCU and the Spokane County Library District.
Hello and welcome to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker with the Spokane County Library District. And joining me today, we have Librarian Tammy Henry. Hello. Tammy, welcome.
Thank you.
And our special guest is Master Gardner, Marilyn Lloyd. Welcome, Marilyn.
Thank you.
It's
Glad to
good
be
to
here.
have you here. We are so excited that we're talking about gardening today. And as I drove here, the sun's out. Everybody's getting a little antsy. It's getting to be that time. I can't wait to get gardening. How do you feel about it? You excited?
It is exciting.
It is exciting.
We are thinking about getting out because in a couple of weeks there's a couple things we need to pay attention to.
Really? Well, let's get right into that because I'm antsy to get out, and I don't want to get out too early, and I want to be doing the right things. So what are we talking about in the next couple weeks?
We have a lot of ornamental grasses in our yard.
We do.
And some of, as a homeowner, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them we have to cut back in March.
Oh, really?
Others we cut back maybe May.
Oh, okay. Ornamental grasses, the big tall ones, right?
Carl Forrester.
Okay.
You see them everywhere, and
Okay.
that's the one I have to get to.
Ah.
We don't have fruit trees.
Mm-hmm.
We, in our yard, however, for insects, maybe you need to be looking at dormant sprays before it warms up.
Okay.
We do have a lot of information at the Master Gardner Clinic.
Mm-hmm.
We have fact sheets that we can email to you. We can answer questions on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
We can take your emails, maybe even diagnose something that's going on in your yard. And we have a plant clinic that's open from March through October.
Wow.
So we're ready to gear up and answer questions.
Oh, great. Well, that's awesome to hear because we're going to have lots of questions. Let's back up to the fruit trees with the Dormant Spray. What exactly does a Dormant Spray do?
It's a spray that you would apply
Mm-hmm.
prior to budding out.
Okay.
It's very specific for what tree we're talking about, and I would get a spray schedule if that's what your question is through
Okay.
the Master Gardner Clinic.
Oh, so I could send the question in, and then you get a schedule on when I should be spraying on
Right,
fruit
right.
trees. Okay, so
Yes.
you want to do it before it buds out.
It depends on what we're talking
on the
about.
tree.
So it's
Ooh.
going to be very specific,
Uh-huh.
and how you handle it may be specific also.
That's great. The Master Gardeners are a fabulous resource in the area. Not everybody knows who the Master Gardeners are, believe it or not, but what is the program and how is it funded and who are you all?
In the 1970s, King County extension agents recognized that homeowners were asking more questions than they can handle.
Ah.
And they started the program.
Really?
Here in Spokane, we were the second program in the entire country, and part of Canada also has Master Gardener's program. So where you have a land grant school, you'll have a Master Gardener's program associated with it. The information we give out is scientific based.
Mm-hmm.
We don't just go off the top of our heads like I just did and give out information that isn't scientifically based.
Okay.
So if you were to spray anything at any time of the year,
Mm-hmm.
please get specific information through the Master Gardner Clinic.
Mm-hmm. And that advice is free, correct?
It is. It
Okay.
is. We have a training program, and we've been training Master Gardeners every year. I was trained in 2008, so I'm about 9, 10, 11 years out in the program. You never know everything.
Sure, sure. There's a lot to know.
And when we're in the clinic, one of us may have expertise. We're volunteers, so we volunteer 20 hours in the plant clinic and 20 hours out in the community, plus we have education requirements.
Wow.
The association, of course, is through WSU, Washington State University. We are funded through Spokane County, through the being part of the university. Also, we have a foundation which funds a lot of our program.
And you do some fundraisers. I believe I've been to a plant sale in the spring, and just
True.
Is that coming
We have
up
a couple
soon?
things coming up. In March is our educational program. It's open to the community. It will be held out in Mirabel Park. It's called Cabin Fever. If you're interested in it, it's an all-day program. I would suggest going to the Master Gardner Foundation, Spokane County, online, opening up Cabin Fever, see what's available, what goes on all day. You have a selection of 4 programs in that day, and each hour program has 3 potential speakers.
Wow. Wow, an all-day thing and no cost?
There is a charge.
There is a cost
There is
cost
a
on that.
charge.
Sure, you have to.
Because,
Center place, those things.
right. We also support the foundation
Gotcha.
through this project.
Okay.
The plant sale, the end of April, is our biggie. And that's how we raise a lot of the funding. Plants come from Master Gardner's yards.
Wow.
There's some that are plugs that are grown up by Master Gardeners, and they're for sale. The price is right.
Yes. Yes.
And we become larger every year. It's at 222 North Havana, where the extension building is, and runs from 9 in the morning. We usually close down about 2.
Yeah. Yes, I attended that last year, and I got some great bargains. And I will be there again this year, that's for sure.
Oh, good.
Great stuff, yeah.
Good.
And it's great that it comes out of the Master Gardener's yards to know that you're sharing and those type of things. Why we're talking with you in the library today is because that education component, not only Cabin Fever, but we have some gardening programs at the library, and the Master Gardeners are great at that because you come and help facilitate those classes, or you do facilitate those classes. So we have some great gardening programs coming up. In fact, you are leading at least one of them, and that is a vertical gardening program. What would we learn in that class?
What you learn is to save space on your land by growing upward
Okay.
or growing down.
Oh,
I
interesting.
actually put tomatoes in buckets. You turn them upside down, hang them, and it's another way to provide tomatoes.
Oh, that's fascinating. Buckets, huh?
Right,
Okay.
right.
So, and then like you hang them from your patio or off your fence
Sure,
or something like
sure.
that?
Yes.
Oh, what a great
Or-
idea. So vertical gardening is more than just growing up, but it can grow down as well. So what kind of things besides tomatoes can you put into a vertical garden?
In a vertical garden, anything that climbs
Okay.
will work.
Ah.
I don't think the idea of the teepee with the pole beans is new to most people,
Mm-hmm.
but that certainly is vertical gardening.
Okay, interesting.
I consider growing potatoes and hilling them up as a vertical aspect.
Okay.
In other words, if you put your tubers in the ground, cover them with about 4 inches of soil. Once you have maybe 4 inches of leaf, you cover them over again.
Really?
And I can do it about 3 times. I think if I had more space in my garden, I might be able to do that 4th. You get potato tubers all along the roots that develop. So what you're doing is elongating the root system and producing more tubers in a small space.
Oh, I see. Fascinating.
Vertical gardening isn't new, actually.
Uh-huh.
Remember going by a farmyard and there were tires stacked on one another?
Okay.
And probably potatoes were grown in those tires.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
So anything that you do to promote upward growth, if that is what the plant wants to do, one of our master gardeners has actually put arches between her 2 raised beds and grown pole beans over the top.
Oh, wow.
She can reach up and pull off a handful of beans
Oh, nice.
when she wants to harvest
Uh-huh.
it.
Oh, very nice. What a great idea.
I also found, actually preparing for this, I became quite interested in using cattle panels, the wire panels.
Okay.
And they're about, I think, about 6 by 6 inches.
Okay.
I've been growing my tomatoes up on cattle panels.
Oh, wow.
When I put my tomatoes in a container, I have round, well, they're probably 4 feet tall, made from a wire into a circular column to grow my tomatoes up on.
Oh, interesting. Wow. And we'll learn some of these things and maybe a few other things in
Yes,
the vertical
yes.
gardening class. We have our next one is coming up in Cheney on Saturday, February 22nd. That's at 10:30 in the morning. And another one at the Argonne Library on Saturday, February 29th, also at 10:30. And you'll be at both of those?
I'll be there.
Oh, that's fabulous. And I suppose you get lots of questions after the class.
After and during.
And during?
So I try to load my presentations more heavily up at the beginning in case I have to at the end maybe speed through slides
Sure,
that
sure.
are not quite probably the truly vegetable gardener would be looking at. But we'll look at using the rain gutters.
Okay.
Yes,
I'm very interested in that.
We'll look at using wooden ladders.
Okay.
The most interesting thing I've seen is growing cucumbers up. Well, don't we all have a bunch of wooden ladders around?
Sure.
That don't work well anymore?
No.
Using that for the upright.
Oh, what a great idea. And I bet it looks cool, too. It must really look nice.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. That's great. It's the vertical gardening class, and we have lots of classes that are going on at the library. And Tammy, you are great at organizing a lot of these things. Let's just talk about a few of the classes that are coming up.
Sure.
Okay.
Super excited. We love excuse me, we love working with the Master Gardeners. They're our go-to people for any of our programming, and sometimes if we have a subject that they can't help us with, they refer us to other people. So they are fantastic
Great.
about that. Yes.
That's great. Well, what some of the classes coming
Yes.
up, we have aside from the vertical gardening class, which is very exciting, we have the propagation from seeds and cuttings.
Yes.
This is above my area of comfort.
Yes. Well, we have 2 new seed gardens seed libraries opening at 2 of our libraries
This is
this
true.
spring.
Yes.
And so this is just a way to get people interested and really kind of the fundamentals of, when to plant, how to plant, how many seeds you're doing, and so a really basic way to kind of get us all started, especially
Gotcha.
for people who come and decide to check out some seeds. They want to try it, but aren't really sure about how to do it if they're new to it.
Gotcha. And we have Master Gardner Steve Noakes will be
Yes.
teaching that class. But let's talk a bit about the seed library. We started this several years ago.
We did.
Out at the Otis Orchards Library, and we've now expanded to 5 libraries with the
Correct.
seed library. And it's kind of like a book, right?
It is like a book somewhat. So when we started out in 2014, our first season started in 2015, so 5 years ago, we got a bunch of donations from some commercial seed places, and they gave us a whole bunch of seeds that we went through and sorted, put into our old card catalog drawers. Do you remember those card catalog drawers?
Yes.
And so, but now we're using them for seeds. We'd have people can then come in and check them out. So they sign them out. With it being seeds, it's really hard to say, oh, now you have to return, a packet of carrot seeds. But we just encourage them to let a plant or two that they've grown from our seed packets to go to seed and then bring them back. So I also brought here, these are some we got at Otis yesterday. So we have some parsley. They just bring them back in a little like Ziploc, some flowers,
This is nice.
cantaloupe, and then we repackage them into our own little seed envelopes, and then they go into the seed catalog.
Into the catalog.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so our ultimate goal is that all of the seeds will eventually be local seeds.
Sure.
So we're running, kind of doing our last of our commercial seeds, and then we'll be going to those the seeds that are.
So in about 5 years, we've got it to the point where now the seeds that are being returned and then rechecked out
Yes.
will be all local.
Correct,
Yeah.
and that is the goal.
That's
yes.
fascinating.
Yes.
Fascinating.
It
Yeah.
is.
So this started at Otis Orchards Library.
Correct, yeah.
And when you go to the library, like you said, the card catalog, which those old things have been collecting dust before, but
They have.
we resurrected them. They're perfect for the seed packets.
They are. They're the right size.
Right.
Exactly.
And all you do is, they're labeled, and you pull it out and choose which seed you want. And we have 5 libraries now with this seed library.
Correct.
As you mentioned, we started at Otis Orchards, which was very appropriate.
Yes.
But now we're also in Cheney, Fairfield Library, and new this year, the North Spokane Library and the Spokane Valley Library.
Correct.
So very exciting. It's just a cool concept.
It is.
This the give and take of the seeds.
Yes.
Very exciting. What's the most popular? Do you happen to?
I would probably guess tomatoes. People come in and get the tomato seeds,
Sure.
but they end up being some of the hardest to harvest.
Oh, is that right?
To return back to us. So each fall we also have a class, usually with Steve Noakes again, about how to save seeds. Some are super easy to save. You just dig them out, dry them out, and return them. Others, like tomatoes, there's a process you have to go through. I don't know the ins and outs of it, other than there is a process.
There's a process.
Yes.
So when we say let something go to seed, it's not just leave it and let it go. Maybe some things?
Yeah, like flowers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
interesting.
then carrots, you have to let go to seed too, because they don't actually have any seeds to harvest unless they have outgrown. How do you explain that? Their
It's-
seeds actually come from their leaves.
Oh,
for
I did not know
carrots.
that.
Right.
I didn't
Yes,
know
correct.
that.
Yep. So you have to just leave it. So you have to leave that carrot in the ground until the leaves go to seed.
Really?
And then you collect the seeds that way.
Oh,
Yes.
that would be a fun thing to do, just to see how it happens.
Yeah, just to see the process.
Yeah. And you also mentioned flowers. It isn't all just vegetables,
Correct.
or fruits. We also have
Yes.
different kinds of flowers.
We
and
do,
things.
and we have one customer out at Otis Orchards who has huge flower gardens, and she's always bringing us lots of different flower seeds. So if you're looking for flowers, Otis Orchards is the place to go for a huge variety.
Wow, that's great. That's great. Well, we need to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and then we're going to talk more about seed libraries, gardening, and the classes at the library. We'll be right back on Library Out Loud.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
I'm Jade Becker, and I'm a senior at Chewilla High School. I'm at STCU's Money Live event. In this scenario that we played today, I was a realtor. My spouse was a city worker. We had an 11-month-old child, and there was a lot of spending for that child, like diapers and formula, and had to buy toys and clothing. I'm very glad that I had this experience. It was super helpful. You need this to get far and ahead in life. I'm Jade Becker, and STCU is here for good.
Welcome back to Library Out Loud. I'm Jane Baker with Tammy Henry and Marilyn Lloyd, and we are talking gardening on the program today because we have lots of gardening programs at the library. We have our seed libraries. We have access to master gardeners such as Marilyn to answer all of our questions, and the sun is shining today, so we're all in the mood. Some of the classes that are coming up, we've talked about the vertical gardening class and the propagation from seeds and cuttings, and then about our seed library. But we also have classes coming up in March on raised bed gardening. And let's see, we also have another one coming up later in May. These are going on all spring.
Yes.
All spring. Hardy succulents in the area. That's something I'm excited about too. I started a couple succulents in my yard last year and can't wait to see how they go. We have worm bin composting. Also later in May, we're going to be doing DIY rain barrels, which will be fun. Plant starter exchange that's happening at North Spokane and Spokane Valley, also in Deer Park. Decorative garden from wine bottles. Ooh, that looks like a fun one too. So
You need to drink your wine. No.
and we also have the Mason Bees program is already passed, but we can always ask them questions about that. You can lead us to the right place.
Yes.
Correct. That's the nice thing about the library. If we don't know the answer, we know where to go to get a hold of somebody, right?
We do, yes.
Well, all these classes are in our Engage magazine here, and we're also online at scld.org, and you can peruse the magazine online or go through the different posts that we have up there on the website. So scld.org. Stop into any of our libraries and ask any questions. We're always available that way. Or to get a hold of the Master Gardeners. Marilyn, do you happen to have that phone number?
I do.
Okay. And you can call there. And
We are 222 North Havana, and the phone number, of course, is 509-477-2181. We're open beginning March 2nd, I believe, is our first day. Monday through Thursday, we're there from 9 until 3, and on Friday, 9 until 1. And we also are open on Saturday mornings.
oh, nice. Very nice. So that's 222 North Havana, the extension office there just south of the fairgrounds, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And 477-2181, you need to
Correct.
call and ask questions or come by one of our classes. And I also know last year, and maybe we'll do it again this year, we had a plant clinic out in Cheney at the Cheney Library, where if you had some sort of unidentified insect or bug on a plant, you could put it in a plastic bag and bring it in and get help with things like that.
Correct.
I think that's always my biggest question is, I'm looking at the plants going, what is that? what is that thing on there, and is it bad or is it good? Because not all bugs are bad, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Before you treat anything, know what's causing the problem. Just don't go out with that Roundup or whatever you think you want to kill everything with. To kill perhaps a beneficial insect.
Yes.
Hard on
yes.
bees also, honeybees.
Yes. Honeybees, that's a big thing I'm trying to attract to my yard right now. So I'm being really careful about not using any pesticides. And in fact, I want to try and not use any chemicals this year. I was thinking instead of fertilizer, I was going to work some compost into the ground. What's your thoughts on that?
Strong believer in compost.
Oh, good, good. I'm on the right track.
Right. In my vegetable beds, raised beds, we compost in the fall. Allow that to work into the soil, and we also compost in the spring.
Okay. So I didn't do it in the fall, but I'm okay. I can still do it in the spring.
Oh, surely.
Okay. So twice a year?
That's what we do. I would say people in Spokane, the native soil isn't always perfect for gardening.
Sure.
In fact, more often not. In my area, we have clay soil. I would work compost into clay soil.
Oh,
I wouldn't bring in a lot of sand.
sure.
On the north side, you may have, in fact, I know of a residence that 5 feet down, it was still sand.
Really?
At a home
Yeah.
on the north side.
Yeah, wow.
So
what do you do with
compost-
sandy soil then? You add
You just put compost into
more
it.
compost.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I live in the valley right now, and I have a very rocky.
I was going to say. Now, there are advantages to rock
Okay.
in that it warms the soil up faster. However, I realize it's hard to plant maybe carrots that you want to go down 6, 8, 12 inches in rocky soil, because the carrot will hit that and split off into 2 or 3 roots.
Okay, so I can expect any of that kind of thing happening.
But I would say raised beds are perfect
Okay.
because you build the bed, and a lot of our beds are 4 by 8 feet,
Okay.
at least 10 feet deep.
Wow.
And then we bring in a 3-in-1 soil or a 4-in-1 soil, which has compost. It has what they call topsoil, and we also have some sand in that, and it's a mix to put in the beds.
And that's a pretty common mix that you could get at any.
I would ask,
Oh, okay.
as if I went to a particular place that is handling
selling those type of
soil
things.
and rocks and.
So you think I can get by the entire growing season with just using compost and not any commercial fertilizers?
No,
of any?
I do.
You do?
What I do use fertilizer. I look for organic fertilizers myself,
Okay.
but there are a lot of fertilizers, synthetic versus organic.
Okay.
So the nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus are the identical element. However, it's how they're obtained that is different. One is synthetically produced, and the other is from natural sources, native sources.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, so I moved into a new home about 1.5 years ago, and redid. You know, we pulled up all the grass in my front yard, and we put in a lot of this new water saving type of planting, right? But in my backyard, I still have grass. Can Master Gardeners help me with making my grass green? Can you give me advice on what to do with grass?
We have back sheets that will go through whatever your problems are
Okay.
and discuss what you would do to improve your lawn.
Okay.
If you have weeds, advice on how you might get rid of the weeds in your lawn. Also, if you have maybe a disease, maybe you have a brown spot in your yard, through photographs sent to the email, through the email to the Master Gardner Center. Sometimes we can diagnose it from that, but
Really?
often we ask you to bring in a soil sample. And we have specific information online. How do you collect that sample?
Oh, wow. Wow. And online, what do you know the website?
The website is Master Gardner, one word, MasterGardener, at SpokaneCounty.org.
Okay. That's easy. Master Gardner at SpokaneCounty.org. We can send emails. And if we are going to identify something, take some photos, what you're looking at, so people can get a good look at it, and you can help me figure out what those brown spots are in my yard.
Right.
Right. And then sometimes we could talk about this stuff all day. In your grass, you get a circle or a half circle. Somebody has told me once they were called fairy rings. Is that true?
That is, and
Okay.
often they're after perhaps a tree has been taken out of an area and there's woody parts underground. Also, if wood has accidentally been buried during construction on the site of your home, you may have the same problem.
Oh, I never thought of that. Leftover construction stuff. Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So many things going on. Marilyn, you have just been great in giving lots of wonderful information on gardening. So one quick question before we go. Pruning. Should we be pruning right now?
Depends on what you want to prune. Don't prune something that's going to flower in the spring.
Okay.
Don't prune your forsythia. You're going to take all the blossoms off, or the potential flowers.
Okay.
Don't prune your lilacs now. It probably should have been done last
fall. Okay.
Well, actually, probably even a better time is following when they have blossomed, even earlier than the fall.
So every plant is different and it depends. So it almost always depends on what that plant is, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Some of the plants that we prune, we do in the dormant stage during the winter.
Okay. What should I have been pruning during the winter? Trees or not trees, or
Probably more
Putting you on the
on the
spot.
side of being trees, but
Okay.
just be leery of something that's going to bloom early to
Okay.
late spring.
Okay. All right. Well, I can't wait to get back out into the yard and take a look at all these things. And Marilyn, I'm going to be giving you a call. Well, I'll be giving Master Gardeners a call. That number again is 477-2181. That's a 509 area code for questions for the Master Gardeners. And again, Cabin Fever, you said, was coming up next month. Great symposium. You can find some more information about that. The email is mastergardner@SpokaneCounty.org. And can't wait to get going. Plus of all the great programs we have at the library that Tammy has worked really hard on getting
Yes.
organized. And these classes are free.
Most definitely free.
And they're in your local library, and we have seed libraries, and we're there to help you get going if gardening is your thing for this year.
Yes, we would love for you to come check out seeds, and more important, bring back seeds. Even if you haven't checked out seeds, you're still welcome to donate seeds to the seed library. We also need volunteers who are willing to do some of our repackaging for us. That can be time consuming.
Oh, that's great. Yes, volunteers to help with that
Yes.
in any of our seed libraries, and
Yes.
get going from there. Well, great. I'd love to spend the whole day talking gardening, but they're telling us we only have 30 minutes today. So thank you for being here, Marilyn. Thank you for the great work you do, and thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Jane.
And for Library Out Loud, I'm Jane Baker. care, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. Library Out Loud is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksMedia.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Library Out Loud is sponsored by our friends at the Spokane County Library District and STCU. Ask Jane a question, recommend a guest, or hear this program again on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Apple Podcasts,